Hey guys, welcome to an episode of Cook With Me. Tonight I'm going to make this Vietnamese chicken noodle salad. I got the recipe from the F45 Challenge app, so if you want to see how I made this right here, stay tuned for the rest of this video, and thank you for watching. So here are the ingredients you will need for this recipe. You will need some vermicelli, which is basically just very thin noodles. You're likely to find this in the ethnic aisle of your grocery store. At least that's what Publix has. Some coleslaw mix, as well as cilantro, and of course a chicken breast. The original recipe doesn't call for seasoning, but here we don't do that. So we're going to season our chicken with this garlic and herb chicken seasoning. The chicken is going to take the longest to cook, so I'm going to go ahead and get my air fryer ready. I cook everything in the air fryer, but don't worry if you don't have an air fryer, you can also cook it on the stove or in the oven. Either way, start with the chicken first or whatever protein you're using because that's what takes the longest. Let's go ahead and get the sauce going while the chicken is cooking. For this sauce, which is more of a salad dressing, you're going to need some liquid aminos, rice vinegar, lime, honey, mint, sesame oil, ginger, some olive oil, and that's what you're going to mix together in a very small bowl. All right, by the time I got started on my sauce, the chicken was ready to be flipped about halfway through. So I did just that. Make sure the chicken's not dry. Spray a little bit more of olive oil if necessary. So in a small bowl, you're basically going to combine all the ingredients I mentioned earlier. Here I'm making just one serving of this entire recipe because I was just testing it out and I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out because I'm not used to these ingredients all together. So that's why I made such a small serving, but also too because it's so quick to make, it's pretty nice to just make it from scratch or just make it fresh. So any ingredient detail you can find in the description box. If you have any questions or concerns, you can also just drop a comment. For the mint leaves, I'm basically just rolling it up and then using some kitchen scissors to cut it into super thin slices into the sauce. You don't want to have big chunks that you're going to have to bite into. You want it to be super fine. If you don't have kitchen shears, you can just use a regular chef's knife or a knife that cuts really well and just cut it into super thin slices. Here, I'm using a garlic press to press out the juice and get the little chunks from my ginger to enhance the flavor of my dressing. If you don't have a garlic press, a grater works the same. If you don't have a grater, you can also just use a knife to dice the ginger into super fine little chunks to add to the sauce. The flavor is going to come out anyway. Just make sure they're not super chunky because then you bite into it and it's not delicious. Go ahead and mix everything together. Set the sauce aside. Let's get the noodles ready. For the noodles, I am following the directions that were on the package, which is basically to put the noodles in a large container. Here I'm using a glass bowl and then pour enough hot liquid on top of it such that the noodles are fully submerged. If you need to use a spatula or something to submerge the pasta in liquid, please do not use your hands. Please be careful because the water is hot. Here I have the timer I'm going to set for about 5 minutes because that's what the directions said. If you want it mushier, then of course you can let it stay longer. If you want it more al dente, then less time. We're going to go ahead and cover this. In about 5 minutes, the noodles should be ready, the chicken should be ready, and everything should be ready for assemble. All right, guys, for this next step, do as I say, not as I do. Cooking 101. Whenever you're done cooking your protein, you should give it some time to rest. I did not do that here, and I kind of got into cutting my chicken right away. So if I were to do this again, I would leave the chicken to be the very last thing I cut into as I assemble my salad together. So again, do not cut into your protein right away. Let it rest first and then cut into it. Okay guys, so after about 5 minutes, the noodles should be ready. Again, this is another do as I say, not as I do. As you open the container, be very careful because it is hot. So make sure you're not opening the container in the direction of your face. Open it opposite from you. These noodles, they look like a whole lot, but surprisingly, this is just one serving. All of this is just 200 calories. Because the noodles are so thin, it looks like a lot more than what it is. But believe me, this is just enough for one serving. As you continue to assemble the ingredients, keep in mind I added my cabbage raw, but if you're not into raw cabbage or you've never had it raw or you've never had it at all, I would recommend you kind of give it a light steam just until you're used to it. And then for the cilantro here, I'm using the kitchen shears again. If you don't have kitchen shears, just use a regular knife. Although I highly recommend getting a set of kitchen shears. Your life will never be the same in the kitchen again. Trust me on that one. You can pick them up at TJ Maxx, Walmart, or anywhere where you can find kitchen tools. Basically, go ahead and add in your chicken, set your sauce on the side, and take all the pictures you want because once you dig into it, it's that good. Here is what the final product looks like. The only thing that's probably missing to take this recipe over the top are some peanuts. So that's the entire recipe. Thank you for watching. If you ever try this or plan on trying it, leave me a comment below. If you want to see my reaction to the first time I had it, continue watching. For all my pescatarians, this is what the shrimp version looks like. All the flavors are there. You may notice I finally found some peanuts, I added some carrots, and I used a different slaw mix, but all the flavors remain just as delicious and just the same. I think I'm just gonna go all the way in. All or nothing. Oh, it smells so good. Incorporate it. It's I'm glad I made it in a deep bowl. I think I need more sauce. Let's see. All right. Okay. I definitely taste the vinegar, the lime. It's good. Okay, so it took 2 bites to realize, but it's pretty good. I think the peanuts would have really added that little extra oomph. So the next time I make it, I know where to go buy peanuts. It's good. It's a huge bowl. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this. definitely a make again. I thought I wouldn't like the coleslaw mix raw, but I do. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this and then start thinking about my next meal, of course. Oh, I gotta go back to work. So I really enjoyed this recipe. My taste buds were introduced to so many different flavors that I didn't think could actually work well together or that I would enjoy. So I highly encourage you to try new recipes, try new things. This recipe here, give it a try. Either you're gonna love it and want to make it again and again, or you're not gonna like it and you're not gonna make it again. Either way, you learn something from it. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. If you do, leave a like in this video and be sure to share with your friends so they too can experience some new flavors. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more videos just like this one. Good night.